Guys, it's Paul Chamberlain again, you know, from the Stand-Up Seniors, the Keto Rangers, Paul H Chamberlain here, and of course, let's not forget, Surge Omicron. Got my toolbox out today, as you can see. We're going to put that over here because we're going to get into the Pavoni Europiccola, the little hand pumping espresso machine, which I bought this back in winter of 1975 as a birthday present for my dad. And following that dad's rule, never buy anything for anyone that you wouldn't buy for yourself, especially if it's a family member, because haha, I've inherited this. And it's never been serviced. So we're going to be in for replacing the cylinder rings. There's a cylinder here, just like a car, you know, it makes the thing go. And a couple little things. We're not going to get into some of the crazy stuff like replacing the seals in this sight tube, because this is a rather dangerous thing. And if you break this glass, maybe not so easy to get a new one. But anyway, let's get into it. We've got our toolkit here. Now I have ordered some parts from a place online. Of course, that's one of the reasons why I've had to wait so long to ever do this, because now you can go online and find these parts. So I went to a place called Stefano's. Stefano's Repair. They're here on the West Coast, so that's why I come. There's a Stefano's Espresso Care, and those people were really nice. If you order the wrong thing, this is, hey, this is a pre-millennium machine, by the way. They started making them, I think, about 1968 or something like that, and then they just went on. They changed them out. There is the same machine. Today, they still make the same machine today. It comes from Italy, but they're over $1,000. And I think I paid maybe $275 or $175 for this thing. But gosh, it sure is cool. And it looks rather stylish. So let's get on with it. Like I said, now you're gonna need a few tools. You don't need a lot, but one of the key things with a lot of European stuff, there's a 10 millimeter wrench that works a lot for a lot of things. This one also uses a 14 millimeter for a lot of things. One of those being up here at the top, where when we're going to take this cylinder out, there's a little lock ring or a lock nut along with this acorn on nut, and that keeps things happening like they're supposed to. Of course, you know, you can do this stuff with a crescent wrench, but you know, that's a no-no. But we will need it, you know, it's kind of like a third hand when we get on, because we're always going to have our 14 on the bottom and this one on top. So we've got that handy. And like I say, we've got some cool parts. We've got some nice exchange things that we'll be getting into. We'll pull those out as we get along. But one of the things that are most important is you do need some simple tools. You know, sometimes a simple screwdriver comes in handy too, just kind of for prying, but be careful with that. We don't want to damage any of these seals that we're going to be replacing. Now, another one is one of the most tools that you're going to have something a little bit special, and that is a snap ring tool. This is like a little tool that will get up in there and open up a little C-ring and either open it or close it. Now, there's different ones, of course. You know, I noticed that I've got two of them because I bought one and went after this, and it didn't quite close enough right up in here, okay? Yeah, it didn't close enough. We're gonna show you somehow, but this one does. I mean, the difference is, you know, maybe a couple millimeters, but let me tell you something. It makes a difference. And guess which one was more expensive? The one that didn't work half as good as the one that cost half as much. So, you're going back to the appliance store, and this one we're going to keep. But let's get into it. The first thing that we're going to do is you're going to have to get access. So, of course, naturally, you don't want to do this when there's water in this. No. Yep. And so this is the lid, and don't do it when it's hot. These things, as you know, if you've got one, that's why you're watching this, because you've got one of these things and you want to know how to fix it. So we're just going to make sure that this is another little cool piece here. I'm just going to dump this in the sink. And we're going to go back to one of the things that I noticed with the coffee is that it is very rusty. It's very rust worthy. It will go through, that coffee will eat through, and there's a lot of acid in it. And I didn't realize it in the years I used this before, and I kind of like, got a little bit of rust in here, cleaned it up, put some, protective paint on that. Did the same underneath here. There's the same kind of story going on there, a little rust, nothing bad. I had a friend who's got some shrink wrap tubing, and we had a little bit of a frayed power line down inside here where it went through the back, right in here. And the light was working, but it wasn't heating up because my power was not, I wasn't getting all the juice. So a little kind of stuff like that, but nothing too tricky considering the thing's like 45 years old. Yeah, it's doing great. And one of the things that new machines come with this plastic tray, and you can order, this was the standard top that came with it that used to sit in here. So I just got this, and it's so nice because you can just take it and dump it in the sink when you get some water or some coffee down in there. That's really cool. So let's get after this bad boy. We're not gonna go do a full tear down. This is not heart surgery, deep cavity heart surgery, but we are going to be working on heart valves. This one right up in here. Now, if you'll notice, on either side of these pins that are here, there are these little things called Circlips. Now you can use this. I'm gonna get some glasses on because we're gonna be working close. And since we are going to be working close, I'm going to bring a camera down in here, right in front of you. Come right down in here. Yeah, because one of the reasons why you're watching this video is because I'm going to show you the shots that all the other videos don't get to see because they're too embarrassed to take a little extra time to do a B-roll. So here's what these are. I'm going to put you over there for now. These little clips will come right out. Now you can either use just a screwdriver like this and just kind of go fingernail action, and they'll just push right off like that. Okay. Now, one of the things about doing this too is that you want to have something to keep all these nice little parts together in. So why don't we just do that right now, because the other day I was doing this, and you'll notice this is the same color as the countertop. Yeah, that didn't work out so good. But I did find it, along with some other stuff that I was looking for. Now you could even use the pliers to help get these off if you're tricky enough to figure out how to get it in there, and then do a little spreading. Like that. See how that just popped out? Okay, now, these little pins here are gonna move out at your will. First thing though, let's take off this. Now, when I remove this nut, there is a plunger that goes up and down in here, and you don't want to have it go so far that it pushes against a part called the shower head. Now, I took the advantage of buying a new one, because all this stuff, coffee is such a big deal now. I got this really cool little IMS new shower head. You'll notice it's very jiggy. It's got a little tiny screen and then holes. This is to disperse the water out into the basket, which is this part that holds your espresso roast in there. So this is going to be coming along. And what it is we don't want that plunger to go down through this. So you want to find out where you're starting from. So I'm going to use this 14 millimeter. It's going to stand right onto here. And then this is where you can use, where it's okay to use your crescent wrench. But what you want to do is hold this in the position that it is, because this is how the cylinder knows how far down to go or so forth. So now I'm just going to pull this top part off. These two lock. Top one goes down against the bottom one. That's how it works. Now, this is in the right position. It's going to be top. It's showing you the very bottom. So what you want to do is figure out what this position was, because we're going to have to pull this cylinder up, but you want to know what the spot was. So what to do is screw it all the way down, but count how far down it goes to get to the bottom. So here we're going to do it like this. Here's 1/2. Here's 1/2. There's one turn, and then about 1 3/4. till I'm hitting the threads. So now I know where the bottom is. And I know that when I put this back on, I'll put it all the way to the bottom, come back 1 3/4 turns, and I'll be in the right spot. You can also check it manually, but that just kind of gives you a 1 3/4 is what you're going for. Now, if your machine like mine has been sitting around a while, this thing isn't just want to pop out of here. It might be kind of stuck. Well, we're going to take these little pins out. Now, if these get a little bit rusty or corroded, you might want to reach over to your toolbox and either use a screwdriver. This is called a drift or a punch, and we can just use this to get this right out of here. You see, that's coming out. So this whole piece, as you see, will just slide right off here. Through the years, you may notice that it's got quite a bit of rust on it. It wasn't probably the best chrome job in the world, but you know, we can get this stuff plated. There's a thing right down here in Carson, you know, where I can get this stuff all fixed up. Now, so this part here, you'll see some people on the internet, they're down here with a little thing and they're underneath here trying to get the seal out. There's a seal that works where this part comes back up in it. This thing is free moving now. All you need to do is, you got your mallets, right? I'm hoping that you guys got some mallets. And here is, I've got a rubber mallet, and also this little nylon one works too. You know, IKEA stuff, you guys are gonna have these, so you're just gonna kind of get a little smart wrap on it like that, and there it comes out. This is the original seal and the original shower head. Looks pretty gunky, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, the rest of it, it still needs a little work. I just use one that's something like this to kind of push on it. And here it comes right out. That is, my friends, the cylinder. This is like a piston in your car. And just like a piston in your car, it's got rings, like a cylinder in your car does. So these rings fit in a certain way. There's kind of like a little skirt. It comes up like this end and down on this side. They're the same top to bottom. Now getting these out, this thing's been in here 45 years. These aren't just gonna come out like anything. This is not, there's no crying in this. We're just gonna have to say goodbye to some of these parts. That's all. And here's a little screwdriver. And we're just gonna take this, you know, and some of these, they might come out. This one, you just want to, there's a little bit of an edge to it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that one's already broken. So see, that's how they come out. There's a little bit of a edge to it. That's what wants to keep that's going this way. And when I take this one out, it will have the edge going out the bottom. It's sort of like a little bit of a skirt, I guess would be the way I'd explain it to you if I had to. That's why I'm here. And so this guy, I'm just gonna come out of it. Hopefully you want to be careful that you don't, these screwdrivers are bloody sharp. There, now I'm just gonna kind of edge it out the edge. Just gonna work it around. It's like just like when you go to the tire shop. It's practically that kind of a move. Okay, now I've got it out where I can work at it with my fingers. Yeah, you'll notice that my hands are gonna get kind of dirty from this because there's all that coffee residue in there. Now this one's gonna come out okay. There. So there it is. There's the little seal part of it. And we've got new ones. Yeah, we do. And we opted for the fancy ones. You know we did. These are blue silicone and they are so fancy. Now when you get your stuff, when you order it from Stefano's, they're so thoughtful. You can get a little, you don't need a whole bunch of this silicone grease. It's food grade silicone grease, and you just silicone grease, and you just cut the little nip off that. And then you can just put a little bit of this down in here. It'll make this whole thing just slip on easier. So you see how I'm doing it there. Just a little bit dab down in there. And we'll put some around on the inside of this because this is gonna have to slip down in there. And if you've ever messed around with bike tires, like road bike tires and things like that, if you get something stuck in between there, you are gonna get a flat because it gets pinched. So this goes in this way. It's going to be inside here like so. This one we're going to make sure we have little ridges going out this way. That's the skirt part. So all you have to do is just, it might get turned on you a little bit. You want to keep these just the way I'm doing it right now. Let's see if we can see this a little better. Yeah, that just goes like so. Keep them nice and flat, because otherwise you've got to get in there with your screwdriver and start messing around with it. And that's not good. So you can see, now that just kind of cozied in there. Yeah, we can do the screwdriver just a little bit to make sure that it's flat. You know, by flat I mean that this thing isn't turned like that. And you can kind of tell, you can just see from here. There's just one little spot. So that's in there really nicely. And we'll give ourselves a little lube from the tube right here. Just go right in like that. Yeah. And this one's going to go this way, pointing just the opposite direction. That way we get a really awesome seal. This thing's going to be powerful when it's done. This is just like going to the hot rod shop for your Pavoni Europiccola, yeah, the little guy. So this goes in, now there they go. And now there's a couple other parts that when you'll get these in a kit. It's about $35 or something that gets you all the stuff you really need to do just a basic remodel. This guy, we're just going to leave him out here. Now, the other parts are up inside here. There are some rubber seal, because of course this piston's going to slide up and down. When it comes up, it's going to get hot water going through here, and then it's going to press it down through your coffee, which is going to be down in there. So we're going to have a little look underneath here, and this is where you're going to use the 10mm spanner. Now see, this isn't something that would work good for a crescent wrist, because you've got some clearance problems in here. So let's just stick with what we're going with, this 10mm. This is just going to come off like that. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Now these bolts, as they are going into this. This is brass, and brass is soft. So you don't want to jack on these too much. Otherwise, you could strip them. That means that you're going to have a problem. And also, it just doesn't need to be that tight. I would say tight like spark plug tight. That's almost too tight. That's about 13 foot-pounds. So when this comes off, as you're going to see here, this whole little piece, this is called the group head. And you'll notice it's got like, this is where the hot water from the boiler comes up into here. Now, there's coils down in here, yeah. And this is off to an angle for a reason, because that way it avoids the coils and gets nice, clean, hot water coming up, comes in through here, and then comes back out down through here. They give you a new O-ring that goes in here. You're gonna put like a little bit of our goose grease on that. I've got a new one that we put in there already. This is just, we've already done that. So that's a new O-ring that's been put in with just a little bit of lube behind it. Go in here while you're looking around. Some of this stuff you can clean up. Like in this area right in here, there was a little bit of crud. That's a professional, actually a term that's used in the industry very much. We got that cleared out. Now, inside here, take a look what we're looking at in here, guys. I think you can see this, okay. This is where you need to have the special tool, because there is a Circlip down there, a seat clip, that, now this can go either way. Yeah. So I'm just gonna put this on here and get this onto the little nubbins. All right, and then we'll squeeze it, and there it comes right out. This is where you want to hang on to it, because when it goes flying across the room and you have to go fetch it, let's just put it right in here. Now, down inside here, there's a brass bushing, which uses the same holes. You can lift that right out. Now, then down also inside here, there is a really nice little, I can't get it out that way. There's another seal that's there. I can push it out with that. Yeah, there we go. Almost got it. We can push this out with something from the inside. And then you see where it is. It's right up here. You can just flick it right out without damaging it. This is the key feature. Now you'll notice this little guy's got some of the same kind of ridges like this does. This does. So those face out. These little ridges go out this way. So I'm just going to pop this back in. We put ourselves a little bit of this nice lube that Stefano sent me. Going to put that in there. Just going to make sure it's sliding nicely, like so. It doesn't need a lot. And that will fit. It helps if you have long fingers. Or, there it goes. That just tucks right down in there. Hopefully you can see that. Once we get it in there, oh, come on. Yeah, 2 fingers now we're talking. Okay. So now it's nice and flat. Down there, can you see that? Yes, you can, I hope so. That's nice and flat in there, and then you're gonna put the little bushing. This just kind of keeps the whole thing nice and flat and square. You don't even need the tool to put it in there. You can just set it down in there like that. You can see it's right back in the same position where it was. And then this is the only part where I've had a little bit of trickiness is putting this back in. You know, sometimes you'll get a new one depending on your kit. And so I'm just going to put this right onto my pliers and close it. Now this is why you want these pliers, because these little points get close together where that other set didn't get as close together, and I couldn't get this thing on because it was too big, it was too open. So now I'm just going to set that down in there. Oh, look at this. This is pure heaven. Can you see that? It's going to go right in there. Yeah. And then if you want to, sometimes, whoop, I fiddled around too much with it. But it'll go right in there for you. It's better to get it onto your pliers outside of where you're working. Now there is sometimes with this circlip, there's a little chamfering. There's a little bit of side that's got a sharp side and a round side. So you want the sharp side because that's got good holding power to be up on the top. So you're putting that side so it's facing out towards where you're working, where you're installing it. Yeah, so you see how I've got this now? And this is closed. And we're going to go straight down in, put one edge in, and then let them gently come apart. And then you can kind of make sure that it's seated. And we're just using metal to metal. You hear a little snick, a little snap noise. This is completely in place, right where it needs to be. So this baby is good to go. And we've already got our O-ring installed. So we're just going to gently put this right back in where it came from. We've got our 10mm bolts handy. Those are just going to come in. You know, don't be putting these on with a power winder. This is much too delicate, and it's too rare and fabulous a piece of equipment. You know, they sold thousands of these things, and there's still a lot of them around, and they still work great. If you can get one, it's a little more, you know, it's fiddly, but boy, is it cool. And so I'm just going to tighten these up little by little. Either side, it's like doing a head gasket in your 57 Chevy. You don't want to tighten them all up at the same time. You kind of get them all down there so they're snug, and then there's a certain pattern that you tighten them. Here it's just one side, other side. Get them so they're snug, but not crazy. You know, that's why that O-ring is in there. It's gonna get everything sealed up. Now, when it comes time to put the piston back in, you're gonna run into, see how this is flared out on the sides here, up and down. This, when you go to get this side in, it's going upstream. It's gonna be a little bit tricky, but you know, if you just kind of worry it in there and maybe use a screwdriver or maybe even something soft and not sharp like the butter knife, why not? You know, we're in the kitchen, you know, this is the all-purpose tool. This used to be a screwdriver when I was a kid. So here we go. This is gonna go in now. When this comes up, these holes they wanna line up with these holes. So give yourself a head start and don't get it turned like this or like that. You can just kind of come straight up into it like that. Now I know that they're straight. Because you're gonna see it when it comes up through the hole, okay? I didn't do it though. So it's like that. Now this is where you're probably gonna want to turn this over on its side a little bit so you can kind of see exactly what's going on. These little skirts want to slide up in there, and you know, until they're, let's just use the butter knife for crying sakes. Oh yeah, that works perfect. Because it's soft and it's not sharp and it won't damage your nice, fancy new silicone skirts or the rings, the piston rings, that's what they are. I think we just about got it. Using the back of it. Yeah, almost there. You can kind of see when it's, I just have a really kind of a medium pressure. Oh, there it goes. See? There it goes. It's sliding right up in there. The bottom one will just go right in there because it's pointing that way. So now it comes up to here, and look, lo and behold, here's our hole that we're talking about. We want to get this so it's all kind of lined up ahead of time. You don't want to have to try and make your life difficult. But that's lined up, and this is in position. So now we can use and put our the armature back in. Now this is, you'll notice, has the holes top and bottom. They're like, oh, well, was it this way or was it that way? Well, the front holes do go to the bottom, but fear not, dear friends, because it'll only go together one way. Okay? So here's how it goes. We're going to put this back one on first. It's kind of just the opposite way. Now this, you know, this little, it's got a little bushing here that slides, or a bearing. It's almost, some of these guys, I think in the new ones they're using, they even have, they make them with ball bearings, but this seems to be working fine, it doesn't wear. So you just want to line this up. Get it, yep, there it goes through. It's going through. And then we're going to put our little Circlips on again. These you can really just kind of start them. Should give you a little, you can see it a little bit better. You just get them started, and you can use the end of a screwdriver just to push them on. Whoops, get it out there. Yeah. You kind of need to have it almost where the groove is close in. Otherwise, you're trying to. Oh, there it goes. That's the right spot. Yeah. There, just like that. That's on. We'll do the same with this side. Now this side here, you can just move it around and find it until it gets into the sweet spot where it's sliding in, just like that. In fact, I'll just turn this over on its side so you can maybe get a little bit better idea of how these little Circlips go. See, boom, that's probably right under the camera. So I'm just starting it like this, and I'll just use my little screwdriver and just push it right on. Here, come on. Maybe sticking out too much. There, oh, there it goes. There. Now it's right in there where it needs to go, sitting in there. Is it all the way in? Yes. Yeah, so that's it. And you notice that this thing is now, I can actually feel what a nice tight fit it has in here. Now the next part that we're going to do is we are going to install the new IMS shower head. This goes in, it'll just fit right up inside here, like that. And then we've got a new seal that's going to go around it. Remember the one that we took out? Where is it? It was a nasty looking thing. Oh yeah, here. See, this one's all kind of squished, and you know it's become formed into the space. This one started out probably the same as that, but just all the years of being in there and in use, it's kind of found its own partner with the world around it up in the cylinder. So we just give it a little Lubitube right on there. Okay. And then this will just fit, let's see here, right in around here. Okay. Now, this is always kind of a fun part. You just want to seat it in there a little bit because it's got to make a nice firm connection in there. So what would work good for that, right? Something that was already fitting in there before? Yeah, that's this baby right here. You can just use this as an installation tool. I'm just going to put it right up in there. Oh, I can feel it kind of squirt in. Yep, that's a little, you know, this is new, and it's so, oh, there, now see it's turning. I don't have the basket in here. I don't have this part of it that holds the coffee. I have just the receiver like that. So now it's sitting in there really good. That is installed. It's as simple as that. Couldn't get much simpler. Well, it could, but then I wouldn't be able to figure it out. But this is my new, I've got a new nice IMS. That's gonna fit in there like this. And now you see when I turn it, it's just to the right position, just like you want it. That is so sweet. Look how this comes out. These guys will go here, like that. Now, the last thing that we've got to do is we've got to remember we're going to put our stops on. Now I'm just going to, you can, when you put this down, you can kind of feel when it's pushing on that shower head. You don't want it to come all the way down and push on it. It's got to be just so. So what we're going to do is go back. Remember we said this was 1 3/4 turns up from all the way down. So I'm just putting my little lock nut on, and I'm going to screw it all the way down until it meets the threads, okay? And then I'm going to come up 1 3/4 turns. So here's 1/2. There's 1 and 1/2. So right around there. Let me see how that goes. Yeah. It's just a nice little bit. Okay. Now, use your 14 millimeter to hold that in place, because now it can't go anywhere. It's already down all the way, right? Let me just get a feel for it. Yeah, it's not touching. Like there. Okay. This will keep this piston in the proper position so you won't accidentally screw it down farther than it really needs to be. So now my top acorn nut goes on. I'm holding the bottom so it doesn't turn. And then the top part, I can come in here with my crescent wrench, holding this one still. It's not going to move. And then I just tighten this one down across it. Simple as that. Okay? That is it. And this is at the right position. And now we can get on with it, because this is it. Now, they do also in a lot of the kits, they give you another little seal that's up in here. It requires removing this knob, and there are some shift pins in here. If this thing isn't leaking and making problems for you, you don't need to mess with it, frankly. I did, and you know, just so I could get in there and see if it was something that needed to be done. So that's the end of our story. You know, and I'd like to thank you for watching and learning all the facts about the Pavoni that are known by few and cared by less. Thanks, and stay tuned. You know, and you could also do, you know, one thing is like hit that little like button and subscribe so you can see some of the other kind of fun stuff that we do up here around Tahoe, because I like to do content that is in, on, around, over, and sometimes under Lake Tahoe. So thanks for watching, share it, and enjoy it. Till next time.